In this demo, we'll be looking at how to utilize Azure OpenAI and cognitive search to build an enterprise-grade chatbot. The solution used in this demo are Azure OpenAI subscription with Azure OpenAI models, ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo, Azure Cognitive Services, Azure Cosmos DB, and we'll be also using semantic and vector search indexes in the chatbot. Let's get into the demo, and I'll be using my Azure subscription to enable the OpenAI. So make sure you have the Azure OpenAI subscription enabled, and then you create an instance. And once you create an instance, you would need to create these resources as part of the demo. Of course, you did create an Azure OpenAI subscription and a model. You would need an app service if you want to publish the app into the web for the users to use. And the key thing here is you need to create a Azure Search or called Azure Cognitive Services. And most of these resources are paid subscription. And make sure that you are aware of that as well. Plus, you would need to configure the data sources, which would go into the blob storage, Cosmos DB, and a storage account as well. What I do have right now here is a chat playground. Once you create the OpenAI subscription enabled and the models deployed, you would have a template in terms of using those available prompts that Microsoft provides. There are various templates where you could try and test out, but that's not the agenda for this demo. We'll be using a cognitive search for enterprise grade search. You could deploy the chatbot to a new web app, or in cases if you're not using a vector search, it could be deployed to the Copilot Studio as well. I'm using ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo 16K provided by Microsoft. Of course, you can use any of the latest one, for example, GPT-4 and the 5 as well. Make sure you have necessary tokens and subscriptions enabled. And this is where you would tweak how your responses should look like. For maximum response, temperature, and stuff like that. The quality of the response depends on this particular settings, which I believe most of you already know. And the goal here is to add our data and see how it all works together. So I will be starting with a sample prompt. For example, I'm asking the system to provide a JSON script, a sample, if you will, for a Lego game, and it provides these details. Now, this is coming from the OpenAI models that's available in the cloud. The purpose here is to how we can create this, the chatbot, and include our data sets. It's not just about including a web URL or a SharePoint site, but also uploading lots of document in various formats, be it PDF or Word document and stuff like that, and use the cognitive search to create those indexes and break those into chunks so that the results are optimum for the end user. As you can see, this output is straightforward coming from the OpenAI service. We don't have to do a lot. The goal here is to add the data sources and then see how it works together. You have various options in here: Azure Blob Storage and Cosmos DB, URL, and upload files. In this case, we would select upload files. You would need a paid subscription, and I already have a Blob Storage account. Once you create a new one, it would display here, and you just need to select that. Make sure you give access to the CARs for this resource. And here you would build a new Azure Cognitive Service search. I already have one. If you want to, you can click on this and build one, and you can name this index the way you want it. I'm going to use few files which is more related to Fiat, Ferrari, and Enzo Ferrari, and cars related to Abarth. As you can see here, these are the documents that I have, which I'm going to upload. I can name this as You can give any name within the boundaries that's allowed by Azure. And this is where you would enable the vector search for this one. And then you could select ADA model, and I'll show you where this can be created. Once you select that, it would automatically pick that up here, and then you go to the next step. So here is where you would upload the file. You can upload chunks of files in various formats. So in our case, I would upload a few files which is related to the Ferrari cars, such as Ferrari S version and then the About version. And click on Upload Files. So the files now get into the Azure storage account at the backend and gets processed. Then you click Next. And here, this is where you would select the hybrid version of vector and keyword search. Now in ChatGPT in Copilot Studio, you would pretty much use the keyword option. In here, it gives you the vector as well as part of the search options. Click on Next. Once this is all done, you click on Save and Close, and the system would start to process these data files. Now, what I will do is I'll go back to the AI Studio and show you where the prompts are created. For instance, if I come to Azure OpenAI, and over here you have created the OpenAI chatbot, and then as you move along into the model deployments, it will take you to another page where you kind of manage all the models that's deployed. You saw in my previous example, I was using an ADA model, and that's deployed at this particular place. And then we can move into the Azure AI Studio to do the final configurations. In this place, I've created few models. The one is the ChatGPT model. As you can see here, I'm using ChatGPT 3.5, 613 version. Please make sure that you have enough token limits and the right subscription in place. Likewise, you could create various other models that you want to by clicking on create new model and then select the model that's available and then click on create and you would get it. In this case, I do not have the quota available for ChatGPT 4. You would need to request Microsoft to increase that. So that's the reason why I'm using GPT 3. And once you select that, name the GPT model as GPT 3.5 and you click on create, um, you would you would create the model. And likewise, go ahead and create models like Ada as well. And then that's what we embedded in the previous screens. So once that is done, you can actually go to the chat playground, just like I showed an example of how to build a JSON script for a Lego game, which we will not be doing right now. What we will be doing is we have uploaded the files, the PDF files. We will go to the AI Studio and chat towards the content that we actually applied. For example, my first question would be, how is Ferrari after Enzo? So it gives quite a lot of details, and keep in mind this is pretty much coming from the data sources that we uploaded in the past, and we could ask more questions as well in terms of, for example, official type approvals. So as you can see, it generates quite a lot of these details. And what we could do here is, as once you have done with this one, you could actually deploy it to the web app. You just need to create a new name and use the subscription and the pricing plan and deploy. I already deployed one with the name Fear Chatbot here. And I click on this, it'll open as a web page. And this is how you give access to the end user for them to use the ChatGPT engine. At the background, it's built on Azure OpenAI and cognitive services with various files or your data. that's been included inside. So this is the user experience if you want to publish this to the end users in your team or in your company. Now you also have the option to plug this in into a Power Platform Copilot Studio, so they can have that experience as well. And from there, you can also create that into a Teams integration or M365 Copilot as well. For this demo, we'll just stick to the web app that was created in Azure, and we'll ask the same questions here and see how the results come over. As you can see, it provides all the various details that we've asked for, and we could ask more detailed prompt as well. For example, so this is interesting because I've asked for a detail about a particular car and the sports steering wheel, and this is where the cognitive search kicks in, and then it goes and assesses the file that we uploaded in the past. Here I do have a couple of files, which is a owner's manual and the PDF. So this data, whatever the responses that we got from Azure OpenAI, is not the common data sets that's managed by Microsoft or OpenAI. This is coming from the document that we uploaded. If I click on that, you would see those details that I uploaded. So this is the whole purpose of this demo, where bring your own data and plug that into OpenAI. And this is an example where you could upload various PDF files and then use the Azure services to build this cognitive search-based chatbot for enterprises, uh, use cases. And as you can see, I'm using the web URL here, and you can share it with your colleagues as well. And you can deploy this model in Power Platform, Microsoft Copilot Studio as well. That's almost the end of this demo. What I wanted to also show is about the cost analysis. Please make sure that when you create these resources, the top one, which is the search one, cognitive search, you would need a basic tier, and that's the one which actually consumes a lot of money out of your bucket. The rest of the services, ChatGPT and prompts, are pretty much okay, and Cosmos DBs. But keep in mind, your cognitive search service is going to consume a lot of your dollar, and the problem with that one is you don't have an option to stop it and restart it. The only way that you could stop the consumption is to delete it. So please be careful when you build that demo. And there's a whole lot that you could do in the AI Studio. For example, we only had a couple of examples of building models like ChatGPT and AI models, but there's quite a lot that you could work on. For example, the prompt flow and other stuff that you could create on. So have a look at this configurations and see how best you could use the various other models such as DALI, assistance, and chat completion. It is in preview, so you might end up in some errors, but make sure that as long as you have a right subscription and enough credentials in terms of tokens and the right tier of subscription, I think you should be all right. So that's just about the end of this demo, where we saw how you could build a chatbot in Azure OpenAI using cognitive search, plus bringing your data sets and querying it against your data set, and also publishing it into the web app for the end user. Thank you for watching.